you guys? It's your girl Carly. Hope you guys are having an incredible day. Today we are sitting down and we are doing our very first monthly reset situation on the channel. I love these videos. I love watching them. I will kind of do it every single month, but one of my goals this year is to be very consistent on resetting my life every single month, evaluating the goals that I want to hit, and being a lot more responsible or held accountable for the goals that I have set in place for myself and the work and the progress that I am doing towards them. I have created my own little Notion template where I reset. If you guys are interested, I actually do give this as a freebie for my email list and in my Notion freebie vault, so if you want to download the monthly reset for yourself, it will be linked in the description box down below. But I'm really excited. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Diving into the first section of my monthly reset routine, let's go through reflection. I'm the kind of person who's like very 50-50 with journaling. Sometimes I'm very about it and I'm like writing pages and I'm manifesting and I'm doing like morning pages or I'm journaling about how I feel. And sometimes I'm very much like, I want to do the evening part of my 5-minute journal and call it a day. But what I really realized is that reflection is really important for me, and it's something that I'm trying to do a lot more of. A lot of this is off of my heart, and I wanted to share it with you just in case some of you guys are feeling the same way, or if any of you guys can offer me tips on how to overcome some of the obstacles that I have faced this month and that I continue to face. Starting with the first question, what went well this month? One of the biggest things that went well this month for me was getting more into a routine. And if you know me, you might be like, Carly, you have 5 million routines. What do you mean? And you're right. However, there were a lot of things in my life that really didn't gel. I would sit down at my desk, I would have a to-do list, but it wasn't really clicking for me. Like I didn't have on this day I do this and on this day I do this. And something that I really think helps me out a lot was getting those things on my Google Calendar. I've tried and failed with this a lot of times where I've tried to time block or like section out each part of my week and stick with it. I don't know what's been clicking differently this month, but doing that on my Google Calendar has actually helped me out so much. Something else that went well for me this month was creating a really great night routine. I always kind of felt like because I had my morning routine on such lock, I could kind of do whatever I wanted with my night routine, and I just kind of have found out that is not the case. Now I am very, very intentional with my night routine. I have all of my lights set up on an automated schedule. It really takes it out of my brain, and it's helped me to sleep better, feel more rested, be less stressed at the end of the day, and I have been very grateful for that. So having a locked down night routine is something that definitely went well this month. Other things that went well were things like getting verified on Instagram, which was crazy, honestly. I had a recurring calendar event in my Google Calendar every 30 days to apply for verification because when I applied in the Instagram app, I really didn't think I would get it, if we're being honest. And I got verified 6 days later, so that is an incredible milestone in my career and in my journey, so I'm very happy about that. That went well this month. And the final things that went well this month was finishing my home office, which you guys will be seeing in a future video, and being very intentional with managing my money in both my personal and my business. Moving into what didn't go so well this month, there's a couple things. There's really only 2 things. One of them is missing my girlfriend. If you guys don't know, my girlfriend is actually in the military. She's currently deployed. She will be deployed for the next 6 months. And while I've done long distance, it still is hard. Something else that is not going well this month for me, or that did not go well this month, was the feeling of resentment towards my friends. And this might be a little bit deep, and I don't really think a lot of people have these conversations in their monthly reset videos, but something that didn't go well for me was feeling resentment towards my friend. I don't know if this is stemming from my girlfriend not being here and me feeling low-grade depression and me, not being in a super great place there, and it's like leaking into my other friendships. Personally, I just feel like I am the person in our friend group who is making the plans, who is getting everybody together, who is doing those things, and lately I feel like I'm really putting in the effort and I'm not receiving it back. And I think it comes down to a lot of things, the 2 biggest being, one, that I'm spending a lot of my own time and my own energy reaching out to people and making these plans and getting all of us together so that we can all hang out as a friend group. And I also think the other thing is a money factor, because some of my friends don't live here. I'm making the effort to travel to them, but I am not receiving that back, and I think that is is kind of growing like a resentment inside of me because I feel like I am putting all this effort into maintaining our friendships, and why aren't you? Honestly, it's really making me second guess a lot of my friendships and maybe what I need out of friendships, and maybe I'll work through this and be able to have these conversations one-on-one with a lot of people in the future. But that's something that I would say is really not going that well this month, and if you've ever experienced that, I would love to kind of know your thoughts on that, because it's something I would like to move past, but it's something that it's currently I am in. A challenge that I overcame this month was moving, constantly getting my butt to the gym, getting those workouts in, getting that movement in, because while I enjoy things like my morning yoga and my nighttime yoga and getting my steps in, sometimes it's hard to do that every day. And it's not to say that I work out every day or I do XYZ every single day, but there's some days, like today, I went to the gym yesterday, my arms are burning. I am in so much pain. But this morning, I almost skipped my daily yoga 10 minutes of stretching, and I didn't, and I think that that really is a big challenge that I'm overcoming this month, is my mental want to give up. One of my biggest things that I'm overcoming and I guess developing is mental toughness. Where did I spend my energy this month, and did I want to spend it there? I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy redoing my office. I felt really great about that because it was a space that honestly kind of unknowingly was causing me stress, was making me feel unproductive. Decluttering and organizing that space felt really good to me. Realizing that I had kind of let that cluttered, unorganized, made me feel bad type of mess into other areas of my house made me feel bad. And it kind of made me frustrated that I let it get so out of hand. And then because of that, I spent a lot more time decluttering and cleaning other spaces of my house. So it's not that I didn't want to spend time decluttering and organizing and making my physical environment a lot better. Just kind of frustrated that I had to spend so much time doing that because I let it get to that kind of messy, unorganized state. For the vision board of the month, I actually am just going to reuse my vision board for January, and that is mostly because I didn't actually do my New Year's vision board until the third week of January. Normally I'm really on top of that, but this year I just wasn't truly vibing with it. Mostly vision boards for me are how I'm feeling. When I look at it, I want it to evoke the feeling I am looking for. And a lot of that is just personal success, personal luxury, personal elevation. Elevate is actually my word of the year this year. So when I look at this, that is what I feel. Getting into everybody's favorite part of resets, maybe not everybody's, but my personal favorite part, finance. My finances were kind of a mess, and when I say kind of a mess, I mean I was not tracking anything. I was looking at my credit cards at the very last minute. I was really not on top of it, and this year a really big goal for me is being a lot better with my finances, and I've done so many things to make sure that I'm meeting that goal. So I'm really excited to go through this with you guys. First and foremost, let's talk about expenses. Something that I found really eye-opening this month was how much I'm paying in subscriptions, and it actually helped me to be a lot more aware of what subscriptions I'm paying for that maybe I don't actually need. I have cut out a lot of them. Another thing about subscriptions this month, there are a couple one-off ones. For example, Disney Plus, I paid $130 essentially, but that is for a yearly subscription. And so while this is almost double what my budget was for this month, I know that next month this will be a lot closer to the actual number that it needs to be. I do think that next month I will be able to stick to it more. That being said, I feel like I do need to change my bills/utilities section to $250 a month, but there are things I will be cutting out in the upcoming months that hopefully will even it out. Next category I have on here is transportation and travel. The only thing that I have on this month is airport gum. I went to Vegas on a work trip earlier this month, and because it was a work trip, all of those expenses go through my business and my business credit card and not my personal money. Travel and transportation is very low for me every single month. That is simply because things like my car and gas do run through my business. They don't necessarily run through my personal money. So I have this $30 here because this is where I will foresee myself maybe taking an Uber home after the bar, or that's really kind of it. I feel good about this $30 transportation box. Food is one that I am conflicted about, to be completely honest. I have a $400 food budget here. It is simply just me in this household. If my girlfriend was here, truthfully, this would be a higher budget for me. Inside my food budget, I have things like groceries, coffee, takeout, and anytime I eat at a restaurant. As you can see, this is very much nearing the 500 range. Personally would like to say, oh, it's just because I was eating out more, I was blah blah blah. It's not. And so I do think that I need to change this up to a $500 a month food budget. I have been buying a lot more groceries and eating at home. I think I would truthfully be lying to myself if I didn't say that I don't enjoy eating out with my friends and experiencing that and getting takeout. So while I want to cut out my takeout to maybe once every other week, I think that will actually help a lot in my grocery budget. I don't want to like restrict myself in a way that I'm like, ugh, I feel bad about this and I wish I could do this, but I have this budget. And I know that's what budgets are for, but I do kind of want to give myself grace here because like I said, I'm learning and I'm figuring it out. And I think $500 is truthfully a fair budget. That being said, I am technically over my budget for food for the month, and I do foresee myself spending more than $477 this month on food, so I am going to change that to $500 for the next month. Next up, we have investments. I am so proud of this part because, as you can see, I've invested nearly $3,000 this month, which is basically my entire salary every single month. That being said, I did have some kind of leftover money in my bank account from December when I wasn't actually tracking and I wasn't aware of what I was spending. And I also have since gone through and changed the salary that I pay myself and the structure that I pay myself for. So this is actually considerably high in terms of investments for the month. As you can see, I have this right here. It's called Miss Independent Fund. This is essentially my investment. So I invest with Questrade. This is in stocks and bonds and foreign equities and all of that. That all goes into there. I have two payments here for my RRSP, which is my retirement savings fund if you're Canadian, or I think it's your IRA or your 401k if you're American. So I've contributed a significant amount of money, almost $1,300 to my retirement this month. Originally my goal was a lot higher. It was $1,700 every single month. That is mostly because your retirement contributions lower the income tax that you have to pay. Getting around taxes, obviously in a legal way, is something I'm very aware of. So I wanted to have that higher contribution so I could get lower taxes in the future. But those benefits are kind of rebate, if you will. So while I'm contributing more every single month, I won't see that actual benefit until this time next year in 2024 when I get my tax refund. So I did lower that down to $1,000 every month so I can still contribute to my RRSP, but I can actually have that extra money to move around with in other things that I need right now. Down here is also my TFSA, which is my tax-free savings account. This is something I'm trying to get a lot more into. So my goal for this every single month is also $1,000 a month, and I'm actually also using it as my emergency fund. I want to have a 6-month emergency fund simply because I've said it a million times. I'm self-employed. I don't have the same stability as other people who work for well-established corporations. So having an emergency fund is really important to me. The fun money category is kind of off the charts. I started off this month very, very aware of the money that I was spending. I feel like I ended this month being a little bit looser than I would have liked to have been. This month specifically, I took 2 weeks off, so the last week of December and the first month of January, I took it off of my business and I told myself I was going to have really good self-care. And that's something that I haven't really done in the past, but this year I decided to take the time off and really focus on self-care. And self-care to me in the month of January was very much things like massages or facials or postural alignment therapy and stuff like that. I'm giving myself a little bit of grace with this because I really do feel like I can stick to a budget. It's just I already had a plan of self-care in my head and I was simply going to do it. That maybe sounds like not the right answer to budgeting and expenses, but it's an answer. I think the next month I will definitely be able to stick to this a lot more. My fun money every single month, I have allotted $1,000 for myself. That being said, we did up our bills and we did up our food budget, and at the end of the day, that is paying yourself first first making sure that your expenses are covered before you can indulge in the fun stuff. So I am gonna have to change this to $850 a month so that I can have my $500 food budget and my $250 bills and utilities budget. I think that because I'm so used to spending all of this money on myself every single month and kind of not having a budget, it feels less to me, but I do think that I don't need to be spending tons and tons and tons of money on miscellaneous things. I'm hoping that this will keep me a lot more intentional about my money in the next month, and it'll be probably a little challenging, but I'm excited for it. So if we take a look at my budget here, I am moving into the month of February with $250 for my bills, utilities, and insurance. This realistically is just my subscriptions, $30 for transport and travel, $500 my food budget, $1,000 in my emergency fund, $850 for fun money, $1,000 for my RRSP contribution, and then $582 for investing. This is obviously a significant decrease because my original investment budget was somewhere around $900. However, this is kind of the last piece when it comes to getting my financial house in order. Things like contributing to my RRSP and my emergency fund and stuff like that are more important to me than having money to invest into stocks and bonds and stuff like that. And I know it's important, and being younger does afford you an advantage. However, it's just something that I can't contribute a ton of money to every single month. But that being said, $580 some every single month to invest into stocks, hopefully, if I'm doing it right, will yield me money in the future. Moving into goals, I do have some personal and some business goals that I do want to achieve this month. Personal goals wise for this upcoming month, number one I have is to stick to my budget. I am very passionate, like you guys just saw, about really understanding my finances this year and being really concrete with my budget. January was definitely the month of really figuring out where I was spending my money and how I needed to properly allocate that budget. February, I'm hoping I'm really consistent with it and I'm able to stick to the budget. So that is a really big goal of mine personally this month. The next one is to dive deeper into investing, and that's into things like stocks and bonds, stuff that we talked about a little bit earlier. It's always kind of been a mystery to me. I've been trying to read a lot more and learn a lot more about finances and investing and stuff like that. I feel like there are a couple of really good books that I've read that have set me up in terms of things like investing in my retirement and figuring out budgets. But the next kind of piece of the puzzle, or the next step, is definitely investing. For me, I kind of find it a little scary because investing, when I think about it, I can see like the New York Best finance bro in my head and like the Forex men in my head, and I just like don't see myself as that person. However, there are other people like Nicole Lapin, for example, who I absolutely adore, who are very passionate about investing, and I read in her book and she got me really fired up about investing. So I want to continue my knowledge and I want to invest outside of just stocks, because those are, in my experience, the easiest ones. You just find them and you buy them. There are so many other different kinds, like, you know, RRBs and REITs and like bonds and stuff like that. So many different things that you can invest in. And I really want to diversify my investment portfolio, or start my journey in diversifying my investment portfolio in the upcoming month. Another one is to be consistent in my decluttering routine. As I already talked about, I was very 50-50 on feeling really good and also feeling like disappointed and frustrated that I let my space get so cluttered. This month I really want to focus on my weekly decluttering database that I made in Notion. Essentially, my lease is up here in 6 months and I believe that I will be moving. I'm not sure yet, putting that into the universe, and that gives me approximately 27 weeks from now until the end of my lease to declutter. And I want to do this, one, because it's really good for obviously my mindset and my mental health, to live in a space that I feel really great about and that is clean and that doesn't cause me like visual mental clutter and anxiety. And then on top of that, having to move with less stuff is always a fantastic thing. So I'm hoping that through decluttering things like, you know, spring is coming up, going through my winter wardrobe, getting rid of things that I don't wear, or decluttering my paperwork, or, you know, getting rid of just things that are sitting in places just because I've had them through all of my moves. Really being a lot more ruthless with my decluttering and being on schedule with my Notion database, which is realistically just a spreadsheet of 27 things that I need to declutter before I move out. But I want to be consistent with that throughout every week until I move. My last one is to get more protein into my diet. Personally, this one is hard for me, and I actually think it's pretty hard for a lot of other people. I'm not like a vegan or a vegetarian or anything like that, but I grew up in a household where we did didn't really eat a lot of meat. So I am not really the person that's like, I'm gonna eat a chicken breast with everything, or I'm gonna have, you know, a 5 patty burger. I don't know. But I'm not like a big meat eater, and because of that, I have to find a lot of protein alternatives. And then on top of that, I have realized that I'm just not eating a lot of protein in my diet, and it's kind of hard. Right now what I'm doing, which I know the fitness girlies will not be into, is supplementing with protein powders and protein shakes. That is simply currently the only way that I am getting at least 130 grams of protein into my day, because one, being on ADHD medication suppresses your appetite like no other, so I'm lucky if I'm even consistently eating meals throughout the day. And then two, protein fills you up super fast, so unless I have meals that are small but mighty, I am also not finishing those, and I'm not getting all that protein in. So drinking, just like chugging a protein shake, is at least doing something for me and helping me work towards my goals, even though I know people are like, you shouldn't just do that. It's what's working for me right now. Moving on to my business/career goals side. Like I said, I have a lot of growth goals this month on social media. One thing you might notice, these numbers are very specific, and it's simply just because I have a spreadsheet that aggregates a percentage over every single month for the year based on your growth from the month before. And that may sound very complicated, it honestly kind of is, but it spits you out very specific numbers. So these are the numbers that have spit out for the month that I am hoping to hit. I want to hit 35,590 followers on Instagram, 545,960 on TikTok, and then 11,591 on YouTube. This is all in respect to their own percent aggregates over the year. Like some of them is 20, some of them is 50, some of them is like 5% growth aggregate over the year. But these are the numbers that I am striving toward. This kind of actually helps me understand what I need to be doing. For example, YouTube taking the jump from about 9,000 to about 12,000. I think a lot of that will have to do with YouTube Shorts, so being a lot more consistent on YouTube Shorts is probably going to help me get there. TikTok wise, I've just got to keep posting. And then Instagram is kind of an uphill battle for me, but I'm hoping to see that growth. The next one is to lock down my podcast cover. If you guys are unfamiliar, I do host a podcast. It's called Hey Bitches. Currently on a hiatus because I have been going through an entire rebrand, reprocess, having the brand grow with me as I grow up into a different person from when I started it. So I'm currently struggling a little bit in locking down exactly what I want that podcast cover to look like, but I'm hoping in February I can lock that down and move on to different parts of launching that podcast. Podcast related, I also want to complete the first 4 episodes of the podcast relaunch because it does come out in March, and we're doing a lot of extra things that we have not done in the past, like filming it, having a TikTok for it, doing reels, and all of that. So I really want to lock down having that content to launch, so I don't have to worry about like just having one episode to start. I want to have all 4 of them done because we only put them out once a week. Have all 4 of them done so I can schedule them out, and then when the month of March actually arrives, I can focus on doing the next 4 without being stressed that I need to do the current 4. And last on my business and career goals is to officially set up my Twitch stream and start streaming once a week. Twitch and gaming is something that I've been trying to get into for a hot minute now, and I just haven't really given the energy to it. Lately, I feel like I have been giving a lot more energy to it, and I'm very happy about that. But it is difficult and kind of hard to understand, and I'm having some technical difficulties with actually setting up the stream. My goal for February for Twitch is to get the stream completely set up, be done with like all of the elements and stuff like that, and then actually start streaming. Hopefully start streaming either the first or second week of February. Moving on to books to read for the next month. I do have some books that I wanted to share with you guys that I will be reading in February that I'm really excited about. First one is Girly Drinks. It is a world history of women and alcohol, which I am so excited about because if you didn't know, I'm a big cocktail connoisseur type of girl. I really love the experience of alcohol. I really love cocktailing and fine drinking, fine like mixology. I think it's really cool and really interesting because it truly is an art form. I'm not the kind of person who's like a wine snob or anything like that, but cocktailing I think is just so cool because you can do so many things with it, and I'm really excited to learn more about the history of women in alcohol. This next book I have is actually called The Hype Handbook. I have read it before, and also something about me is I actually hate the like little plasticky cover on books, so all of the books that I read and have read never have the outside cover. But I'm actually gonna reread this book for the month of February. I've read it in the past and I took so many notes, and it was really insightful, but I think I need to reread it for a second time so I can actually implement what I was learning in the book because I feel like I was reading it and I was learning so much and it was fantastic, but I was just absorbing it. I didn't actually have time to implement what it was teaching me. So I want to read this again and really kind of prioritize what I think would work in my life in terms of the Hype Handbook and social media and stuff like that. So this is also another book that I will be reading this month that I'm very excited to read. And with that, it brings us to the end of our February reset. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know that it was packed with a lot of stuff. I love monthly reset videos. I love learning all about how different people do their resets, how different people manage their money and, you know, have their goals and stuff like that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. I post videos every single Sunday. I would love to have you over here on the channel, and if I don't see you in the next video, I would love to at least, you know, chit chat with you in the comments. I love you guys so much. I will see you next week. Bye!